Okay, so this is a basically I've organized the course, IDQ course. So if you see, we will first start off with the basics of data quality and also introduction to IDQ. So unlike other tools, IDQ, Informatica Data Quality, requires a lot of theoretical knowledge. You should understand what is matching, you should understand what is standardization, you should understand what is data profiling and all these things. So that is the reason I thought we would have basics of data quality session first, so that we will have kind of basics understood. And for somebody who has already worked on data quality domain, it's kind of a brush up for them. And also then we will start off with the introduction to IDQ. Okay, like what is IDQ, where does it stand in the market, and all these things. So then we will quickly jump into data profiling concepts. Like again, what is data profiling? What all we should do as part of data profiling, and how would you basically achieve data profiling using IDQ? Okay, so now that we covered basics of data profiling and data quality, and now that we know what is the tool all about and how it looks like and all these things, then we actually jump into the meat of this particular training, which is about the IDQ transformations. So again, in IDQ, you can classify the transformations into Power Center transformations and data quality transformations. Like most of the transformations that are already available in Power Center, they're also available in IDQ. So basically, that is the reason I've grouped them into Power Center transformations and data quality transformations. So if you see here, filter, router, join, union, expression, these are already there in Power Center. So for a resource who has already experience in Power Center, he would be easily able to kind of pick these transformations. Again, in addition to that, we also have some data quality transformations like case converter, standardizer, parser, address validator, match, merge, and you have a key generator. You have good number of data quality transformations. So we will basically talk about each of these transformation in theory, and then on the same day, basically I will help you out with a kind of a demo to show you how to use the transformation, what all options you will have, how to configure it, and all these things. So after that, we will actually talk about reference files overview. Like reference files is one of the key components of IDQ, wherein like it has a lot of power, in the sense like you put any metadata or any reference data into that table. With the help of that reference table, you can do anything. Like you can do standardization, you can do cleansing, you can do parsing, like that. Okay, and also we will talk about what are the different ways to create the reference files and all these things. So these are we will start, and we will slowly kind of proceed or get into the deep details like about each transformation, how to use it, and all these things. And then okay, and then we would talk about IDQ integration, because IDQ, as you know, it's a data quality tool. Most of the times it has to talk to some other tools, be it an MDM or another data migration tool, or kind of a web service or something like that. So we will actually talk about how IDQ can be integrated with other tools, and also at the same time we can talk about some examples like in real world, in real scenarios, real projects in which I have worked in, because I have worked in almost all the three scenarios wherein like a data quality tool talks directly to source and writes to target, or a data quality tool takes the help of a Power Center to talk to source and write to target, or a web service can be built in a data quality tool, which can be invoked by a middleware and all these things. Okay, so then the next topic would be this is where is the actual hands-on kind of thing. Okay, developing data quality solutions using IDQ. Okay, so here what we would do is we would take a case study. For example, we would take a requirement. You can say it's a real-time requirement. Basically, how I have implemented in the real-time project. In a similar way, we will create the source data with issues, and also we will get the requirement. and then we would kind of build a project or a mapping or a maplet, whatever it is, to to uh, uh, to design and develop basically that requirement. So in this particular section, first we would be handling the data cleansing, okay, and then we would go into the data standardization, how to do that. We would go to the address validation, and we would go to the deduplication of the data. Okay, so these are the main things which you generally do in IDQ. But here I would like to mention this address validation requires reference files, okay, which are licensed ones and which are costly. I really don't know if we have that. I would check with the admin here. But at least if the reference files are not there, at least I would be able to kind of show you what all options you should configure, and also I would be able to provide you a set of input records before address validation, and also what is the outcome after address validation. Okay, so I would be able to kind of help you out with how it works and what would be the output and all. But in the real time we may not be able to execute the code because we have to check if we have address reference files. Okay, so this is how I've organized a course structure. This is at a very high level because, like in the previous slide, we were talking about the transformations. It's a very high level term, right? You have a hell lot of transformations. So we'll be covering most of them. When I say the reason I'm saying most of them is we will be only using around 75 to 80% of transformations. There are like 5 to 6 transformations which we really never use. When I say never use, like very rarely used. So those things we can probably cover in theory, but we may not sit and do practicals. Okay. And the way I have organized the course structure is like the total hours is 20 hours. Okay. I mean, when I say 20, it's not a hard stop there after 20 hours. It could be plus 2, 3 hours. That's fine. And out of which theory classes is 12 hours. When I say theory, like basically the thing I'm doing right now, I'm speaking, right? So that is theory. And the demo is what, like we log into the tool, and I will kind of showcase the details and all these things. So that is, so on a whole it would be around like 20 to 25 hours, somewhere in the between. So we will see how it depends on the way we are able to proceed, because there could be some students kind of who are very new to data quality. They might take little bit more time to kind of take the concepts. So we will kind of plus or minus, we can do the total number of hours. That's not a hard stop. So these are how I've organized the course structure. So any questions from the audience, like if somebody has already worked on IDQ, but they're kind of trying to gain some more insight into IDQ, uh, if they think something else is missing. See, again, in IDQ, you have some admin part, which I'm not covering. When I say admin, how you configure IDQ and all these things, we will see. If we really have time, probably at the end of the session, we can talk about for 1 hour what is that IDQ admin would do generally. I mean, like how he would install the contents and all these things. So if nobody has any question, then probably we can move to the next slide.
Hey, Hemant, one question.
Yes, sir.
Vijay here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the data analyst and Informatica developer part of IDQ, or
Yes.
are they different?
Yes. When I say IDQ, I would be covering both developer and analyst. But again, there's a clause there. Analyst services should be up and running on the server. So I mean, since this is the first time I'm actually taking a session here in this institute, so I'm not sure if analyst services are there. If they're there, then we would be covering it. If not, I have some videos. Probably we can kind of play. It's a very simple tool. It's a web-based tool. So hopefully we should be able to cover that as well.
Okay. How about the developer?
Yeah, developer is the main component of IDQ, right? That is where we develop the data quality solutions. So that is the main component on which we will be working. So analysts, provided they have the installation and all, it's like very easy for us to kind of go there, and I can help you out what is there in analyst and everything.
Is it part of your curriculum or is it?
Yes, yes, it is part of curriculum. It's actually very small tool. I mean, basically all the features which you have in IDQ, some of the features are taken and they were put in analyst. Yeah, we will in the next slides we will see what is analyst and what is developer and all these things.
All right, thanks.
So this is the course structure. So these are we will be proceeding further in the next probably like couple of weeks. And these are we would be understanding what is IDQ, what is data quality, and all these things.
So, Hemant, what are the list of DQ transformations you'll be covering?
Yeah, if you see in the previous slide, uh, basically all the data quality transformations like standardizer, parser, address validator, match, merge, and key generator and case converter and all these things. In addition to that, we also cover power center transformations like expression, filter, router, join, union, and what else? Java and all these. There are some other transformations. So yeah, that's what. I mean, the idea is to kind of cover at least 80% of the transformations. The reason why I'm saying 80% is those 80% transformations are like very highly used in any project. So the rest 20, right? For example, there is a Java transformation which we hardly use because, or there is a we should probably sit and write a Java code and kind of use that transformation to kind of help us to read the code and execute the code. So we will look into those transformations in theory, but we may not be really able to kind of do a hands-on on that.
Okay, so about the business use cases that you will be demonstrating during the training.
Yes. Yeah, if you see on this particular slide, we have around four business use cases. So first one is data cleansing. So when I say data cleansing, I mean it could be anything, right? I mean the simple requirement could be to remove special characters, or some other requirement could be to remove unwanted junk strings. So we would be doing 3 to 4 different types of data cleansing there. In a similar way, we would be doing different types of data standardization there in the next use case, and even address validation and deduplication. So whatever transformations we have learned in the previous, slides or whatever is that, we would be doing a hands-on there, and also we would be kind of again using them for doing these use cases. So it's like you would be using them very often during this particular course.
Okay, so the cleaning is also part of standardization, or it is a different transformation?
No, that's what. See, data cleansing would be done as part of a transformation called data standardizer. Okay, but the reason I've kept it different is, I mean, if you talk to any customer, okay, in terms of what are the requirements, they would ideally segregate it into these four. Okay, they would say these are my data cleansing requirements, these are my data standardization requirements, these are my deduplication criteria or requirement, and this is how we should do the address validation. Okay, that is the reason I took four business use cases. But we would see how to achieve that particular requirement. We would be probably using multiple transformations. We might have to use an expression, then a filter, and then a router, and then a joiner, and then a standardizer. Okay, what I would do is I would try to make the use case a little complex so that we would end up using most number of transformations. Okay, so that will also give us some more confidence, right? So the moment you do a simple use case, I mean the confidence would be a little low, but the moment you achieve a like kind of a little complex requirement where you end up using a lot of transformations, that kind of gives you some more additional confidence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and
So
yeah, tell me.
how long you have been working on the this data quality?
See, data quality around 7 years, and IDQ around 4.5 years.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
And as part of IDQ integration, we will also see how to export an applet and then integrate it with Power Center and all these things. Because most of the projects where we are using completely an Informatica stack, we would end up having a power center and also IDQ. So we would be developing all the data quality solutions in IDQ, and then we would be exporting the maplet and then integrating it with the Power Center. And then Power Center generally takes the responsibility of talking to source systems and then basically writing the data to target system. Okay, so these are
we can do same thing even in the IDQ, right?
In IDQ we can do, but problem is when you're actually talking about millions of records, IDQ is like not that good when you compare with Power Center. And also in Power Center, as you know, you have the concepts of workflows and all, which you really don't have in IDQ. Okay, so that is the reason most of the times we take help of Power Center to do the data migration, but the meat or the core of the data cleansing and standardization happens in IDQ. Anyways, we will look into those options with some examples and all these things. That's not a problem. But okay, so these are the core structure is. So if you guys don't have any questions on core structure, if you guys are clear like what is that we are going to cover in the next couple of weeks, then we can move to the next slide. Okay, so assuming there are no questions, so move to the next slide. Okay, so we would straight away start with the basics of data quality. Okay, if somebody has already worked on data quality, for them this would be kind of a repeat. But for somebody who is new to data quality, then kind of I hope this might give some more insights into why we need data quality and all these things. Okay. So again, this is something theoretical in nature. I really don't want to sit and walk through all these things. But when you talk to any customer, the main thing they would say is, I'm really not sure how reliable is my data. Okay, because if you see many of the customers, millions of records would be entering into their ecosystem via many applications. Okay, they really don't know how reliable is the data. So the moment you run a report on that particular data on a warehouse or something, it would be kind of showing you some statistics, but they're really not that sure if that statistics are correct or not. Okay, so that is where they would basically come to us and they would say, okay, I just want to understand the quality of my data. Okay, then you would take up a project and then you would execute it accordingly. Okay, so here are some stats which are the recent stats. For example, the cost of bad or dirty data exceeds more than 600 billion in US business annually. Okay, so these are some stats that I took from basically the Gartner Summit and all, where generally when you have an IDQ summit or when a data quality summit, they come up and they say, I have so many problems and I'm estimating this is my cost, overhead, and all these things. So these are some stats which you can. I would be sharing this presentation at the end of the training, so you can go through it. And okay, so I'm skipping this slide. We will see one business use case in the next slide to understand what are the real impacts of a data quality. Okay, so this is a business use case. So if you see here, a retailer Jade has launched a promotional activity where he tried to send emails to his emails catalog to his customers via post. Okay, so out of his database of customers, he identified some customers as the privileged customers, probably depending on the revenue he's getting from them or whatever it is reason. So let's say he identified 5 million customers as privileged customers. Okay. So now what he has decided is he wants to send an envelope to these 5 million customers with the latest promotional details, with the latest catalog. Okay. So let's assume he has spent $1 for each envelope or a post. Okay. So he would end up spending 5 million for this particular activity. Okay, good. That's not a problem. He has spent 5 million. He's expecting at least 2 to 3 million of his privileged customers to come back and visit his store and give him business. Okay, but actually what happened? Okay, he was expecting 3 to 4 million customers to come back to his store, but what happened is the address data quality is really bad. Okay, so what happened? Most of the envelopes have come back. Basically, the addresses which that particular retailer were maintaining were not accurate. Because of that, the envelopes didn't reach the end customers. Okay, so in this use case, what is the impact to the company? Okay, there are two impacts. One is operational cost, because you're spending money to print catalogs and post it, and you're not in a position to deliver it to the customer, so it's coming back to you. So it's an operational cost overhead, right? And what is the second impact? Second impact is loss of business, right? You have a privileged customer, but you don't have a proper channel to reach out to him. Okay, of course, he might have a phone number, valid phone number, or he might have something else, but you cannot talk to him. You cannot call him and say, "Boss, give me your address. I will send the latest catalog." He would be frustrated, right? So it's actually the job of the job of the retailer to kind of maintain the addresses of the customer in a standard way according to the USPS standards. If it is US, it is USPS standards. Okay, so this is one of the typical use case where especially retailers who are into high-end retail chains, they would very often send catalogs to customers, and most of the catalogs would come back because the address may not be valid or something like that. Okay, so this is one typical use case. So if you ask me what is the solution for this problem, okay, you identify the privileged customers' addresses, then you would take up the address standardization project, and then you would augment or cleanse or standardize those addresses, so that going forward, at least you can ensure that out of 5 million, at least I have 2 or 3 million customers with proper addresses. Okay, so this is one typical business use case, and what is the impact and what is the solution. So any questions on this slide? Okay, so assuming there is no question, we will move on to the next slide. Okay, so now we understood what is data quality and one business use case. And now that you guys are interested to understand or learn IDQ, we will try to understand where IDQ stands in the market. What is the demand for a person who knows IDQ, and IDQ as a tool, how it is doing good. Okay, this is again picked up from Gartner report, which they publish every year, which for all the tools, be it data integration tools or data quality tools or MDM tools or all these things. Okay, so if you see, basically they have split they have four quadrants. The first quadrant is the leaders, okay, and the second is the challengers, and the third is the niche players, and fourth is the visionaries. So what is challenger? What is leaders is nothing but they are leading the space. Okay, they have tools which have good capabilities and all. Okay, and what are challengers? They are kind of trying to build a robust tool, and they're kind of trying to enter into leaders. Okay, and what is niche players? Okay, again, they are good in some space, not in every space. For example, you take any other tool, be it Trillium or something. It has capabilities to do most of the data quality operations, but probably some of these data mentors and all, right, they don't have very good capabilities in all the data quality space. Okay, in a similar way, visionaries are something kind of like who just started off probably a year or a couple of years ago, who are kind of trying to understand what is the requirements of end users, and they are kind of trying to build their tools. Okay, and if you see Informatica, right, it is here. So if you see, ability to execute is on the on the y-axis, and completeness of vision is on the x-axis. So if you see, Informatica is leading the space. It has this ability to execute. It is way beyond all these tools like Trillium or SAS Dataflux and all these things. And in terms of completeness of vision also, it is kind of almost reaching that stage. Okay, if you ask me a couple of years back, SAS Dataflux used to be on the top, and then Trillium, and then IDQ. But in the last couple of years, IDQ or the Informatica stack has, I mean, the way they have built their particular tool, IDQ, right? It has completely started capturing the market share. Okay. And if you ask me, I've worked on Trillium, Dataflux, BODS, and IBM Information Analyzer and IDQ. So if you ask me, Informatica Data Quality is a very easiest tool when you compare with rest of the tools. And in terms of functionality also, it's very powerful when you compare with the rest of the tools. Okay. So having seen this stance, you can safely assume that, or you can safely consider that in the next 4 to 5 years, in the data quality space, Informatica data quality would lead the space, unless and until if there is if the competitors like Trillium or Dataflux comes up with really very good any other any other new capability. Okay, so at least for the next 4 to 5 years, a person who knows IDQ would be in very much good demand in the market.
So about current IDQ market in the India?
Yeah, current IDQ market is good. So what happened is that these tools like Trillium and SAS Dataflux, they don't have a data migration or a data kind of a stack. They are pure data quality tools. Okay. So for a person who is working on Trillium or Dataflux, right, it's very hard to find in the market. If you ask me, probably you would find only 100 or 150 resources of Dataflux in India. Trillium, you would probably find again same 100, 150. Oh, in overall India, I'm talking about. But again, IDQ, in IDQ, you have a good number of resources. The reason being, resources who are actually working on Power Center, they're also kind of learning IDQ because more or less the UI is same and some of the transformations are same and all these things. So even after they're learning and all these things, right, still the market demand is good. And for a resource who has good Power Center experience and IDQ, they're kind of very well paid in India. Okay. So having seen where IDQ stands in the market and all this, we will kind of have a quick overview of what is Informatica Data Quality Tools stack. Okay. Basically, Informatica provides two tools for data quality. One is Informatica Developer, which is a thick client, and Informatica Analyst, which is a thin client. We will talk about what is thick client and thin client. So thick client is nothing but the normal like a developer client software where you develop all the data quality solutions. Okay. And what is thin client? So thin client is nothing but it is actually running on the same server where IDQ developer kind of talks to server, right? On the same server, but it is a web-based tool, Informatica Analyst. So if you see this screenshot is nothing but the Informatica Analyst screenshot. You just log in with the same credentials of developer and it just opens up, it helps you to see some data profiles and all these things. Okay. So it's a thin client. And what is the reason of having two different tools? Okay. So developer is mainly for IT resources who develop the data quality solutions. Okay. But analyst is for business users. Okay. So what happens typically is developer will develop the data profiles and he would be able to share those data profiles to in analyst tool to the business user. As you know, a business user, they really don't have a lot of technical knowledge, right? They understand their business and they have basics of technology, right? So just to keep it very simple, they have provided a web-based tool, which is Analyst, wherein a business user can just log in and check his profiles and he might want to add a filter or small things. We will see in the next classes what is Analyst, what is developer. So this is just an overview. And the current version which is running in the market is 9.6.1. Okay, so 9.6 is a version and 1 is the hotfix. 9.6.1 hotfix 1, I think. So any questions on this slide? I mean, kind of this. Yeah.
This is Nishit. So Informatica current version which we are using is let's say 9.5, and we have a developer interface with it. So does it have all the features which are there in 9.6? Because 9.6, I think so, from Power Center perspective, is a big data addition. So we do not have a license for that.
If I mean, to be frank, even I'm currently working on 9.5. Okay, and what you told is correct. 9.6 from Power Center terms is a big data edition, but in 9.6 in IDQ is not a big data edition. It's a normal edition. So coming to your question, I mean, in terms of compatibility or integration, it should work. I mean, 9.6 IDQ talking to 9.5 Power Center, it will work.
Okay, that can also happen, right?
Yeah. In the other way around also it should work. Basically 9.5 Power Center talking to 9.6. See, the reason I'm saying is when you export the IDQ maplet to Power Center, there you have a drop down where you can select the version of the Power Center. Okay. So you might have 9.6 IDQ and you might have 9.4 or 3 Power Center. Still you should be able to kind of select the drop down and convert the maplet to that particular version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but how this integration happens, Hemant? Since there is a change in the version, so
No,
how the Power Center
yeah,
repository can understand the IDQ mapping metadata?
it takes care of that. So when you export, you get a .xml. So in the process of exporting, basically you select the version. So it has that intelligence to convert to generate that XML in such a way Power Center can understand it.
But how do we execute that mapping in the Power Center without only the XML metadata? How about the runtime?
Yeah, I mean, in the next classes we would look into that. So when you get an .xml in Power Center, you would again import that .xml there. Okay, so it comes as a maplet there in Power Center. So that's it. So like let's say you have a Power Center team and a IDQ team. So IDQ has developed a maplet. IDQ team has developed a maplet. So they will give you an XML export. So as a Power Center resource, you will import the .xml file, which would be a kind of a maplet to you. Okay. And whenever IDQ team keeps on changing the code as per the new requirements, right? They would again give a new XML. You would kind of import there, refresh the Power Center mapping, and it will automatically validate it. If there is any issue, it will give you an error.
That is fine. So what you are talking about is on the metadata side, right? But once you import that metadata in the Power Center repository, okay, you create a session and you create a workflow and you run that.
Yes.
But how do you Power Center DTM will understand the code developed by the IDQ?
I mean,
That is my question.
once you import there, you would be able to see all the transformations that we have done in IDQ there. Yeah, I mean, I will check with the admin here if they have Power Center access. If so, I would be able to kind of show you there. If not, I can show you how to export. Okay, how to export, how to import.
Yeah, export is fine, correct. So you will export, you will show all the transformations and are in the Power Center. Well and good. You create a session, you create a workflow, and you run. What happens in the runtime?
Yeah, in the
basically you are trying to execute the code, right? So
yes.
for that, how the Power Center DTM will understand the DQ development mapping code?
See,
that is what my question.
Okay. Basically, on the server on which this particular Power Center is getting, Power Center maplet or a mapping is getting executed, right? On the same server, you should actually have the IDQ software as well. Okay. So in turn, it actually takes the help of IDQ software to run. Okay. But if you ask me what is the point of integrating? Then the whole point of integrating is to have one flow end to end. You understood, right? On the same server, you should also have IDQ software installed because there are some data quality transformations like match merge or a standardizer, right? So Power Center will not be in a position to understand what is the transformation about, right? So, so the way they have designed it is, you would integrate, but still during the execution time, this particular piece of code will take help of IDQ software that is already installed on the server.
So, okay, so my question is something, let's say IDQ in one host and PC is in another host. Okay, PC is of 9.5 and IDQ is of 9.6. Okay, so at that time you're telling that both should be in the same version or both in the same host. Then we cannot run the mappings, right?
I'm not talking about a version. Version could be different, but what I'm saying is it should be installed on the same host.
See, when you run the mapping in the Power Center, so it will take the libraries from the server bin and it execute, right?
Yes.
But in the DQ it is different, right? So DQ installation is different and the Power Center installation is different. So when we run the workflow, how the Power Center DTM will understand the DQ libraries which is not there in the Power Center server bin?
That details I should probably go back and check. But the way we would do is we would export, we would integrate and all. But on the same server, basically on which we have to execute, right? We should also have IDQ software, and anyways Power Center software will anyways be there. Okay, so it has that capability to talk to the IDQ metadata, IDQ repository, because all these metadata information would be present in the IDQ repository. So it would have that capability to talk to IDQ repository, and also it would be able to access all the IDQ reference files and all these things, and then it would be able to execute. But if you ask me a little finer details of how .bin takes that and all, that I should check. The reason being I'm not a Power Center resource. I am actually IDQ resource. So I don't have a lot of experience on Power Center. I just have basics. So I can check that. So I'll come back to you. I'll get back to you on that final details. And also I have a documentation.
Okay.
I can share it to you. I mean, if in case you are kind of more interested in to get little finer details, I have this IDQ documentation on like how IDQ would be integrated with Power Center. So I mean, if you really want to kind of dig deep into that and understand the technicalities of that.
Right. Why? Because when we are supposed to work on, we should be.
Yes, yes.
We are supposed to know, right? How
Yes,
things
sir.
works.
Yes.
Why? Because something tomorrow, some mapping execution is failing in the Power Center. So how do we come to know that whether it is how it is failing is because of the Power Center core, or whether it is a Power developer code or something that is happening? Just curious to know why, because like, it will help in troubleshooting.
So if you ask me, I mean, if this kind of problem occurs, what we do is, in log file, if you go there, once the code is integrated, you run it, and then if you are facing an issue, you can go to the log file where you have the details of each of these things. For example, it will provide a log at the transformation level. Okay, so if there are 3 to 4 Power Center transformations in Power Center code, after that it is triggering IDQ transformations or IDQ code. Okay, so you will have all those details. For example, triggered address validator transform. Okay, what is the start time? What is the end time? What is that other finer details, like whether the reference files were ready or all these things. Okay, so that is something which we use to debug, because what happens, we integrate the code, we run, and in the runtime we don't know what is happening. We check the log to see if it is Power Center issue or data quality issue, or if it is integration issue. Okay, so we will talk about those things. We will cover them. And if at all, as you know, if at all there is something, if I don't know, then probably I will kind of research, practice, and then I come back. That's fine.
Oh, fine, no problem. Thanks. Go ahead.
So this is the overview of data quality tools. So we will jump into the next slide, which is the architecture. So nothing really changed when you compare to Power Center or any other Informatica tools, the architecture point of view. So on top is the administrator console, from where an administrator can log in and create users, and then kind of bring the services down, and he can check all the. See, we have multiple services here, right? You have data integration service, you have analyst service, which will actually help you to talk to analyst. And you have model repositories where is the Informatica developer metadata stored. Okay, and you have SQL service if you want to run the SQL services, and you have a profile service to run the data profiling. Okay, so you have multiple services. So administrator can check the status of any service. Okay, and also if he wants to bring down the service, he can bring down, or he can change the parameters in that service. He can create any global variables, all these things. Okay, so basically in terms of admin, right? For example, if analyst service is not configured, then Informatica analyst will not work. It's as simple as that. Okay, if there is an issue with profile service, you would not be able to do data profiling. Okay, or if there is any issue with mapping service or SQL service, you would not be able to run any SQL code there. Okay, it's as simple as that. So this is more for the administrator, basically how each component is talking to each other component. And see, for example, from the development team, I would say, admin, please look into this. Informatica analyst is not working. Okay, so he should understand that if Informatica analyst is not working, I should go into analyst service and see what is wrong there. Okay. In a similar way, if I say I'm trying to do a data profile, but it's not working, it's giving some runtime issue or something, then he should be in a position to go there to the profile services and see if the profile services are up and running. Okay. So this is more of at the administrator level, architecture level. So for a person who has already knowledge of the power center or something, it's not really a very huge change in terms of architecture. Only thing is that apart from power center services, you have profile service, analyst service, and then SQL service. So model repository is where the metadata of IDQ, whatever jobs you develop and all these things would be stored. Okay. So again, on this particular topic, if you want to dig deep into that, we can have probably like 20 minutes of class. I mean, it depends on the audience requirement. So wherein I can come up with much finer details, like what is analyst service. I mean, though I say it is for running Informatica analyst, how is that it really integrated with profile service and all these things, right? We can dig deep into that. But at least for the time being, I'm just giving an overview.
So we'll be creating a profiling service, mapping service
No.
in the admin console?
In the admin console, we'll be creating, but as part of training, we're not going to look into that. This is something for administrator to work upon.
So they'll be creating data integration service,
Everything.
profiling service, mapping service?
Yes. In any project, I mean, if you have an admin person, okay, it's his responsibility to create a repository where all the metadata, everything will be stored. And it is his responsibility to create the respective services, be it analyst service or profile service or SQL service or anything. Okay. So he would kind of create all these things. He would test it, and then he would kind of confirm us, and he would also create users for respective users, and then we would kind of log in and use it accordingly. So apart from this, he would be also able to create connections. So when I say connections, those are the entities which, with the help of them, we would be able to talk to any data sources, be it DBMS or basically any SQL or Oracle or anything. Okay, so those connections we can create in admin console, and also we can create in developer. We can create in both the ways. That we will look into once we actually start off with the hands-on and the demo. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Okay, so now that we understood what is IDQ, basics of IDQ, right? We would see what are the capabilities. Okay, so when I say IDQ, IDQ is nothing but both Informatica developer and analyst together. I'm saying it as an IDQ. Okay, so capabilities are nothing but data profiling. Okay, so you can do basic data profiling, which is column data profiling. Okay, which will give you minimum, maximum, what are the nulls, what are the uniqueness percentages and all. And also you can do the business rules configuration. For example, a customer might want to know how many records are having invalid mobile number. Okay, when I say invalid mobile number, length less than 6 or 7 or 8, whatever it is. Okay, so I can configure a business rule so that we would also get the outcome of that business rule. Okay, and also then we can do data cleansing using transformations like standardizer and expression. So some examples of data cleansing are like you can remove some special characters, or you can remove junk strings, or you can remove something, again, junk strings, something like care of symbol or something like this. So what is parsing? Again, parsing is something like, here we took an example, which is parsing full name into individual name components like prefix, suffix, and all these things. Okay. And then data standardization. So we do standardization. For example, if you see here, standardization of domain names. For example, there is a spell mistake in yahoo.com. Okay, you can standardize it to proper yahoo.com. Okay, in a similar way, you can standardize, if you take material data, you can standardize unit of measurement. Okay, so like liter, ml, and all these things. Okay. So then also we can do address validation and enrichment. So like any other data quality tool, even IDQ uses address validation files, which are provided by, if it is for US, if they are provided by USPS, okay, United States Postal Code Service. In a similar way, for Canada, it is SCRP and all these things. So IDQ would take care of getting all those files from different authorities, and then they have built a component called address validator, which will talk to these reference files and then enrich the data. Okay, and also you can do match merge. So it supports not only exact match, it also supports fuzzy match. So we will see what is exact match, what is fuzzy match, and all. So it has some algorithms like edit distance, bigram distance, and all. And also it supports merging the duplicates, like out of the identified duplicates, what would be your survivor record? Okay, so it will help us to do the basically all these capabilities. So any questions on this slide?
So Hemant, so what is the collaboration between IDQ developer and analyst? Basically, how the project cycle starts, how they will interact, and how the collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we can talk about it now. Okay, so as I was telling you, analyst is mainly for business users. So we really hardly use analyst. So in the developer is a place where you create the profiles, data profiles, and all, and then you share those profiles to business users in analyst. Okay. So as analyst is a web-based tool, you can share the URL of the profile to the business user. He can log into that and he can check the profile outcome. Okay, and also you can create some scorecards, so which a business user would be able to look into those scorecards over a period of time and all these things. Okay.
See, but in the real-time scenarios, right? How the developer will know the requirement? Basically, the business analyst should give the requirement, right? So without a developer getting the requirement, how we can create the profiles directly?
Yeah. So
you are getting me?
Yeah, I got it. So again, that is one session which I've planned in the next classes. But just to give an overview, so basically we will, whoever is the on-site person, right? He would talk to the business users to get the requirements. Okay. Apart from column profiling, which gives standard statistics, we would get some additional business rules from business user. Okay, you get that business rules documented in a document. Okay, then you basically ship it to offshore team or whoever it is, and you ask them to add these business rules in addition to the column profiling. Okay, so what that person does is he would run the column profiling, and on top of that he would add all these business rules. Okay, and he will run the profile, and he will share that URL to the business user. Okay, so business user will log into analyst with the user ID password, and he would be able to see the profile there. And whatever business rules he asked for, the outcome of the business rule will also be there in the profile in the analyst tool.
So it is always some kind of a email communication or something like I create a profile, I put some kind of a documentation or some comments. So how the developer and analyst can see each other their comments?
Yeah. So once you create a profile, there you can add comments. Okay. For example, if business analyst is a person who has to fix that issue, let's say, so you can write a comment saying that I found invalid email, please correct it. Okay. So he will correct it probably in the source or somewhere, and then you will and he will write a comment there, correct it, please check. then you will kind of rerun the profile to see if that issue is fixed. Okay. In a similar way, when a profile is created, you can add an email. Basically, you can trigger an email to the set of people. Okay. It's an automated email. So what happens is that any changes to the profile or something, right? That automatic email goes to the business users, so that he would understand, okay, someone at offshore or some person X has created a new profile. I would just kind of log in and see what is that he created, something like that. So that kind of using
How
that,
can
yeah.
so how can repeatedly run the same profile, something like a scheduling?
Yeah, so we don't have any scheduling concept. So if you have created a profile on a flat file, okay, there is no way. You have to kind of regenerate the profile, new profile once again, because as you know, business user will be fixing the data in some other source system, and you have to take the extract of that source data, and then only you can rerun the profile, right? But if you have run the profile on a database on a table, so the moment he fixes that issue there, all you have to do is reopen the profile and refresh it. You need not rerun it. You can just refresh it. Automatically, the new scores and new issues will be coming up. So if that
So
person,
it's always a manual job. It is
yes,
always a manual job. Something like I cannot,
no,
some kind of a scheduling that every day it will run and it will give me the report rather than logging to the tool and see what happened.
no, we don't have that. So instead, business user can just log in and refresh it. It's more or less same, right? So your ask is kind of schedule it, and again, business user will log in to check the issue. Here it is a different way. There is no scheduling. Business user, he himself can log in and just say refresh, it will be refreshed.
Mhm.
Yeah. So these are the capabilities of IDQ, and these are the high-level components, key components of IDQ. So we would be, as part of the next couple of weeks, we will be using these terminologies a lot. So that is the reason I thought we will have one slide to understand what is this term about. Okay. So we will see what is maplet. So maplet is nothing but a piece of reusable code, okay, which can be called by a power center or any other tools. Okay, so it really doesn't talk to any source. It really doesn't talk to any target. If you ask me, it's like a stored proc. Okay, so it takes a set of variables, and it does some data quality transformations, and it gives you some output. Okay, so it all depends on what is the input data you're sending it to that maplet. Okay, even though I have developed an address standardization maplet, but after exporting to Power Center, if the Power Center resource is not, if he doesn't know it is an address validation maplet, and if he inputs some other columns like email, name, and all, still it will be able to execute, but obviously the result would be wrong. Okay, so it doesn't have that intelligence to understand what is the incoming data. All it will do is it has a defined structure of input, it has a defined structure of output, and it has a defined data quality operations in the maplet. Okay. Then what is mapping? Mapping is nothing but similar to maplet, but only criteria is mapping talks to the source file and also it talks to the target system. So in the maplet, we are defining a structure. In mapping, we are actually talking to the file or a table or whatever it is. So maplet is a reusable one because we are just defining the structure. We are not talking to any source or target. But mapping is not reusable because it is actually talking to the source and target. Okay. So then moving to transformations, as you know, basically IDQ has some components.
Yeah, well, one
Yeah,
question.
tell me.
Hello?
Yes, yes, tell me. Hello. Actually, we have issues with Hello.
Hemant, you're back?
Yes, yes. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah.
Given one question, so you're saying it's a mapping. So how do we run a mapping? Do we have a concept of workflows over here like Power Center, or
No,
how do
in IDQ we don't have the concept of workflows. So you basically pull the source file or whatever. We have some concept called physical data object which talks to the source or whatever it is. You just pull that. You create the data quality transformations with respect to that source, and you write it to target. Okay. So you validate the mapping if there is any issues and all. If there is no issues, you just right click and say run. It will run.
okay?
Okay, and a respective log file would be generated. You don't have any concept of a session or a workflow.
So in production, how do we normally run the mapping? So in the studio, I can understand you can run and get the output. But if I have to deploy the mappings in production environment, how
Yeah.
do you normally
So,
run these mappings?
yeah. So generally, in 99.9% cases, you take help of Power Center. As I was telling you, when the data volumes are huge, you don't take a chance to do the whole stuff in IDQ. Okay, you will have all the transformations and everything in IDQ, but you take the help of a Power Center mapping or a workflow or a session to kind of talk to IDQ.
So we design map kits normally, and then we
Yes.
deploy it integrated with the Power Center,
Yes,
right?
because what happens is that I mean IDQ as a standalone in production is very rare business use case. Okay, because you
Okay.
never know, right? You might have a IDQ solution considering the fact that volumes are very less, but tomorrow suddenly your organization grows up and suddenly there are large volumes of data that you have to handle. Then you have to kind of rebuild a solution, right? So generally, that is the reason even customers prefer to have Power Center, which talks to sources and which talks to target.
So ideal use case of this would be like to run the mapping and design and see the profiles and all when we are doing in a development phase. But
Hmm.
in the production environment, normally I think so standardization or parsing or address validations would be the actual use case from
Hmm.
production perspective, right?
Yes, yes. So
Because profiles and all would not be normally run in the production. It would be like before or when we are doing the development, then only that will come into picture.
profiling is
Right?
something which is prior to development. So we first do profiling to understand the issues, then we build data quality rules, and then we implement the data quality rules, cleanse it, and then we do it. Yeah, we will look into those details in the next sessions. So coming back to your question, as I was saying, generally IDQ, see again, in IDQ you can use it in two ways. Okay, one is for one-time cleansing. Okay, that is, it's a one-time cleansing project where you just talk to sources, do some data quality operations, load the data to target, and you're done. Your project is done. That is one-time migration or one-time cleansing. The other one which we were talking about is in real time, which frequently invokes the IDQ and all. So in those cases, generally we don't use IDQ alone. We take help of Power Center or we take help of any middleware to call these services or maplets.
So, Hemant, one question.
Yes.
See, this integration, it takes a lot of efforts, right? So, data quality, you do a lot of development. Again, you
Mm-hmm.
deploy to the Power Center and you
Yes.
create session workflows. Again, a lot of manual effort requires, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is
No,
again a costly
no.
operation for
You
the.
see, basically, let's say there is okay, there is a requirement to cleanse address. Okay, it's as simple as that. So what Power Center would do is it will talk to multiple sources. It will kind of do little bit of validation at their end. It will uh, kind of make it as one source, and it will send it to IDQ. Okay. So IDQ would do the cleansing and it will give back the augmented or standardized address to them. Okay, this is the business use case. Okay. So as long as the structure remains same, okay, as long as the input columns to IDQ remain same, you need not do all this manual activity. As I was saying, we will export a .xml from Power Center. You'll just import and say refresh. Refresh the code. The code will be refreshed. You can revalidate. You need not again build the sessions and all. But if the structure changes, when I say structure, earlier you were sending only 4 columns for IDQ maplet. Now suddenly you want to send 5 columns. That is something structure change. So in that case, you would end up doing some manual work. But in most of the cases, as long as the structure and the number of input columns and everything remains same, you just import the code, refresh, and validate. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, we can move ahead.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. So again, the other concept is the reference files. So again, reference files is nothing but a kind of a lookup file, okay, which we use for standardization and cleansing. For example, you can build a reference file to standardize the domain names, okay, yahoo.com with a spell mistake to yahoo.com, or a gmail.com to gmail.com. Okay, it's as simple as that. You will have 2 columns, non-standard version, you will have standard version. Okay, so that is how you will have the data in an Excel or a text file. Using that, you will create a reference file, which you can use in standardization cleansing. Okay, so this is reference file concept. Okay. Okay, I think I'm done with this basic introduction of IDQ features and all. So, like in the next class, we will see what is data profiling, what we generally do in data profiling, and all these things. So, I mean, generally what happens is, right, at least for a couple of sessions, it would be kind of more theoretical in nature, because first you should understand what is a maplet, mapping, reference file, or you should understand what is analyst, you should understand what is developer, at least basics, right? Then once you actually log into the tool, then these basics would help you to kind of understand it much better. So that is the reason we generally organize it this way. So the first couple of sessions would be kind of more theoretical in nature, but we would kind of see hands-on on how to do all these things. So any questions in today's class?
One thing, like, how are we going to plan for the practicals, like, in terms of the tool, like, if you want to have a feature, apart from the theoretical sessions?
So, I mean, I should check with the admin here. I mean, I really don't know what did he commit to you guys. But what he told me is that kind of, anyways, I would be kind of giving you a demo, okay, every day. That is fine. But for you to access the software and all, then I should talk to him on this. So going forward, how we would do is, for example, there is a transformation called case converter. Okay, first we will have a slide which talks about what is case converter and all in theory. Okay, again another couple of transformations. Like for the first half an hour, we will look into those transformations, and the next half an hour we will log into the tool, and I will explain you how to configure and all these things. So that is how I would do from my part. But if you ask me how you guys would be able to practice and all, then probably I'll talk to admin so that he would get in touch with you and he would be able to help you out with respect to your queries in those regards.
Okay.
Okay, so Okay, then if we don't have any questions, then we can probably wind up, and you can provide the feedback. Okay, and also if you want any additional information, then I can incorporate into the course structure. That's not a problem, and probably admin would get in touch with you in terms of what is your feasible timing and all. So idea is to kind of have one hours of class on the weekdays and 1.5 hours or 2 hours on the weekends. So that what happens, right, in the next couple of weeks, we should be kind of able to get good knowledge, and then you can practice well, and probably then we can take a break of couple of days. So in the meantime, you guys can practice, and then after a couple of days, again, we can kind of get back to our sessions, and then we can discuss about your questions and all in which you have practiced in those couple of days. So that is the plan. So again, that is a customizable plan, right? So end of the day, it all depends on the requirement from the audience. So we can plan it accordingly. Probably you can give the feedback and also your requirements to the admin who was in touch with you. So from there we can take it further. And one more thing, I think a couple of people were actually, I mean, it could be a generic question. A couple of people were asking about the support with respect to the interview questions and all. So that we would discuss at the end of the training session. See, if you ask me personally, I conducted interviews for many people in IDQ and other technologies, in other data quality tools. Hardly I find resources who knows at least basics of data quality. When I say basics of data quality, what is data profiling? What is the need of data profiling? Or what is data cleansing? What is that you do as part of data cleansing? Or what is that you do as part of data standardization? So generally any person, right, he would generally start off with this data quality life cycle questions. So only if a person is able to answer these questions, then we would take him to the next level, which is the technical questions. Okay, what is, I mean, how would you do data standardization in IDQ? Okay, or how would you do match merge in IDQ? What are the different algorithms available and all? So if a person doesn't clear the first level of questions, which is the theoretical knowledge about data quality, then no point of asking about the tool, right? So it's always better to have this theoretical knowledge, which we would be discussing in, which we have discussed and we will be discussing in the next sessions. That is something which many of them don't know. So they just come with, they just know a couple of transformations and they say, I know data quality and all, but data quality is more theoretical in nature. Okay. And data quality is something which has to be executed with the help of business users and also IT together. It's not just IT job. It's not like a data migration or something which you just do it and just end it there. It involves a lot of business users' time and IT time. So a person should have good grip about data quality lifecycle and also good understanding about the data. Like when I say customer data, what does it contain? Or when I say material data, what does it contain? Or when I say product data, what does it contain? All this. That is where you actually, they call you as a SME, subject matter expert. Okay. So these theory concepts are very important. And if someone is really able to convince the interviewer with these theory answers, I think I would say you're almost 70% there. And the rest 30% is kind of talking about the tool, how to do and all.
So Hemant, so what are the different topics we cover in the enlist?
Yeah, analyst, we would be covering how to create a scorecard, how to see the profile, how to create a business rule, and how to add comments to the profile, how to export the profile output, and then how to tag profiles, because you might end up creating hundreds of profiles. So you might want to tag profiles with some keyword, be it like customer profile or master or material profile or something. So how to create tags and all these things. So analyst is more from the profiling point of view.
Okay, so in the interview, whether we are going for a data quality interview, so we should be preparing for the developer role or the analyst role?
No.
And how your course coverage aligned to that?
I mean, there would be no roles that are very specific to analyst. Okay, you should always prepare in terms of developer. Okay, but there could be questions saying that, asking that, do you know analyst? Do you know how to, what all features analyst has, and all these things. But the core data quality capabilities or features are with IDQ developer. So analyst is very simple tool. It's like it hardly takes half an hour for anybody to understand.
Okay. So your coverage on the transformations will be in depth, or it is on main options? Let's say data standardization or address validation.
No, in depth.
So we're covering each and every option of the transformation.
In depth. I mean, at least for key transformations like data quality transformations like standardizer and all, we will be covering all the options. There could be some transformations in which we might ignore some options. Again, see, it all depends on the audience. Okay, if you really want to know what is that option, and if I don't know what is that option, probably I would kind of read through or practice or identify or figure out what is that option, and I'll come back. It's as simple as that. So that's fine. We can cover most of the options.
Yeah. All right, Hemant. I think he's done with your question. I mean, his question, Asha. I mean, if anybody else has any question, you can take it up. And maybe they might Karthik, your again.
Okay. Then I'm ending this session then.
Hemant, thanks